If you live anywhere in the Great Lakes region or have traveled here, you have an appreciation for both the land and the water, 20% of the world's fresh water. Would you like it to have a chance to spread your wings over these waters to protect them and to train young people to know and appreciate them? Good friends and colleagues, I am Marja Czech, a biology and environmental science faculty member at Lourdes University in Sylvania, Ohio. I am working with a group of colleges, universities, environmental educators, and program directors to create a new biological field station called Wingspread in the Keweenaw Bay area of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. My FundaGeek project involves raising financial support for the first year of the project until Wingspread achieves 501c3 or nonprofit status, which will make it eligible for foundation and federal grants. The arrow indicates where Wingspread will be housed and headquartered. The star indicates Wingspread's reach and beyond. Faculty, undergraduate students, and local citizen scientists will use Wingspread and its facilities to monitor, to take courses, to do research, to collaborate on projects for the benefit of the Upper Great Lakes region. Your donations will also cover my salary and benefits for a year, as well as mileage and conference attendance for Wingspread partners, and overnight lodging for consultants and contractors. The important thing to remember is that you will be keeping Grandma off the streets. Here I am in my favorite environment, a plant community in the remnants of Keweenaw Forest. My particular interest is the underlying soil microbial community which makes this plant community successful. But that's a story for another day and another FundaGeek Ask. Jacques Cousteau said about the oceans, "To live on the land we must learn from the sea." We here in the sweet seas have much to learn from our own great waters. As these lakes have taken care of us for centuries, what do they teach us, and are we really listening? Students like Tony, the taller one, want to be part of the process of monitoring and research, the gathering of information about these waters that will help us secure them into the future, to the 7th generation. A base of operations like a biological field station will provide Tony and other students with that opportunity. I currently live and work here in the greater Toledo area on the western Lake Erie Basin, but I consider it important for my students to understand that 80% of water in Lake Erie comes down from Lake Superior. So several times a summer, my students and I pack up a van and trailer for a week's worth of togetherness and travel. We set out from Sylvania, Ohio, very early in the morning, and depending on the number of rest stops we have to make, cross the Straits of Mackinac about 6 hours later. My personal tradition is to provide the students with their first Yooper lunch, pasties. Pasties are like a handheld pot pie and date back to traditional meals from mining days. We travel west along the Niagara Escarpment across the top of Lake Michigan and then northwest to the Keweenaw. Along the way, we have a chance to get wet in Lakes Michigan and Huron. Here we are at the northernmost shore of Lake Michigan. I tell the students that the pure of heart can see Gary, Indiana at the southern end. On our several trips to the Keweenaw, we have done service learning with the Keweenaw Bay Ojibwa Natural Resources staff. We've built turtle platforms in several ponds and small lakes. We visited camera monitoring stations. We have fin clipped thousands of year-old lake trout grown in the KBIC fishery to be released into the bay. Last summer, one of the groups worked on the Sand Point Restoration Project funded by the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative. The KBIC Natural Resources staff hauled in enough soil to cover 35 acres of stamp sand beach on the shore of the Ojibwa Reservation's recreation area. This is an example of a stamp sand beach, created over decades of eroding tailings from copper mining in the late 1800s into the 1900s. Nothing grows in these coarse, dark sands, and stamp sand beaches are leaching arsenic and nickel into the bay and into Lake Superior. Stamp sands cover the entire shoreline of the bay along the Keweenaw Peninsula. This is before, and this is after the work of many volunteers working many hours weeding out the invasive plants brought in with the soil and replacing them with native plants grown from seeds and seedlings in the KBIC greenhouses. It's grueling, labor-intensive work, but as you can see, several weeks later, it's so worth it. While we're in the Keweenaw, we rough it, either in Lance Township Campground or in Baraga State Park. We pretend that a week of picnics is part of being an ecologist. We depend on each other for many things, but especially for reading directions for camp stoves, or we bring along John, a Desert Storm vet and veteran camper who supplied our group with fresh fruit salads and camping meals ready to eat. We also contribute to the economy of Lance and Baraga, but early, because the sidewalks get rolled up here as the sun goes down. Of course, we can't avoid rain, so here we are drying out after a rain, but we also take advantage of picnic tables and sunshine to do our fieldwork research and to find the name of that elusive bird that nobody could name. We've worked with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service's lamprey monitoring team. Here we are electrofishing, stunning the little critters, and giving us a chance to see both year-old and 2-year-old hatchlings. We also had a chance to hold dead adults. And we've said, not Grandma, what big teeth you have, but how many teeth you have. We'd like to offer several summer courses once Wingspread starts rolling, like aquatic biology, Great Lakes bioregion, Precambrian geology, and you'll see some of it, regional watersheds, Great Lakes environmental issues like land use, water protection, and curriculum and field research workshops for area teachers. But it would be nice to have a residence like an unused motel in which to house faculty and students for the length of time or of a course or a research monitoring protocol. This one needs a lot of work, as you can see, but we'd rather have something like this. We don't have to create a new footprint for Wingspread. There's much abandoned and underused lodging space in the area. Rooms in a facility like either of these two could be provided for class meetings, wet labs, a field library, equipment storage, and the site could be used as a base of operations from which to travel for our various monitoring projects. Rooms in a motel could be refurbished for multiple occupancy, something like camping inside, but without the rain, hail, sleet, and snow. A little crowding at night doesn't matter when the great outdoors is our classroom. If you become a friend of Wingspread, we will share this space with you in late summer and early fall, or when the entire motel isn't being used by students. So birders, bird watchers, stream walkers, canoers, kayakers, and other eco-tourists welcome. For a group retreat or a small conference, Wingspread could be the place that you house yourself. Your generosity is your partnership with us as we work for the present and the future of the Great Lakes. As we learn from these lakes, these waters will teach us how to live on the land. If we learn, we will know what we are protecting. If we know what we are protecting, we will keep it to the 7th generation for our children and students and for other members of the community of which we are a part. Above all, we will stand in awe of these gifts of the glaciers. From little pockets of isolated beauty, like Point Abbey at the tip of the Huron Peninsula, where we had a chance to see vernal pools full of tadpoles. We'll study all kinds of wildlife, big and small, in the various plant communities and in the streams. And of course, listen to Maria's lectures and learn how to use field guides. We'll study flowers rooted in the rock and algae clinging to the shore. From Precambrian rock strata, layers laid down when life was still itty-bitty single cells, and washed by the predecessors of the Great Lakes. Here you see a tossed salad of the various kinds of rocks, every kind of rock, on the shores of Keweenaw Bay and Lake Superior. We will listen to the thunder of the roiling waters. We'll walk on beaches that took centuries to form in little coves and shallow areas where Lake Superior is actually warm enough to swim in, at least by the end of July. We'll study the little wriggly stuff, the cold waters teeming with life. We'll look at the cascading waters of the Huron River on its way to Lake Superior. We'll sit along little sloughs, ponds, small inland lakes, follow meandering streams eroding the ageless rock, play in the open waters, and study the many moods of Lake Superior. We'll look at the succession of old plant communities to new ones, and we'll also work with degraded areas, areas that cry out for our help. You will help us to speak for the abused land and the abused waters. Okay, folks, from my generation to my students and 7 generations after that, this is Granny's appeal. I estimate that about $70,000 raised with the help of FundaGeek will cover the following budget items: my salary and benefits for the first year, the application process for 501c3 nonprofit status, mileage as I travel to partner institutions and agencies, conference attendance for myself and a number of the partners, like the Healing Our Waters Great Lakes Coalition Conference, a 2-day planning retreat for the steering committee as they become the board of the coalition, modest stipends for contractors and consultants as decisions are being made for housing renovations, advanced planning for courses and workshops, which we would like to offer already in the summer of 2014. All of this for the sake of the lakes. We love them. We want to learn from them. We cherish them. We want them protected. So you, the Friends of Wingspread, and the students of Wingspread Biological Field Station, We all thank you for your time and generosity.